Paradise, that's the 31st, 4,000 on the left.
While we all
In the midst of all of this, I have Patrick Cole TV, whose wife, Marilyn Cole TV, just hit him.
And of course,
unknown impact and unknown harm.
And make sure that the county, state, and federal resources are being deployed to this community through this time.
All right, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard joining us again. We wish her the very best, and unfortunately, she is about now to leave to get onto a helicopter that I understand is going to provide her with an aerial look at exactly what the situation is here in Florida as a result of this ongoing eruption situation. Let me fill you in. This is the latest. Moments ago, we got confirmation from USGS that we just experienced a 6.9 magnitude earthquake. Now, there's always the possibility that once they look at all of that data, they read their instruments, they may adjust that reading, but that was what came down from USGS HBO officials just moments ago. Immediately after that earthquake, which we felt here again, as I mentioned, within the Leilani Estates evacuation zone we have been set up for the last several days, it was rocking and rolling. We saw several of these county vehicles, including this extremely heavy-duty County of Hawaii Mobile Command Center, just swaying as a result of that earthquake. Immediately following that, we understand that USGS HVO's field team, which was assigned out on Leilani Avenue, received reports that lava was crossing the road. We got a chance to head out that way. I believe that we have footage back in our Hawaii News Now studio that we can go ahead now and roll through and see for yourself what the situation is here on the ground, again, in the Florida district, where there have been 5 official eruptions in the last 24 hours. Let's walk you through this time frame, okay? This all started on Monday, April 30th, when Pu'u'o crater experienced a collapse. That deflation created an injection of lava, of molten hot magma going underground, traveling down the East Rift Zone of Kilauea volcano in what they call this intrusion. And essentially what that did as it was moving through the lower East Rift Zone of Kilauea volcano, it was breaking rock, it was shifting the ground, and that was creating all of the seismic activity that residents were experiencing here. All of those consistent and ongoing earthquakes were a result of that magma moving underground. It was unclear whether or not that would lead to an eruption, but that is exactly what we saw happen. It broke the surface with a first eruption yesterday afternoon. That was around 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in Leilani Estates, right around what we're told was Mohala Street. That was the very first reported eruption. Since then, there have been 4 others. A second overnight happening at Makamai Street. A third later this morning, and that was what we were told was the very first situation in which there was actual structural damage. 2 houses, and that happened on Kaupili Street. Then a 4th eruption was reported between Mohala Street and Kaupili in an area that's forested, brush, no structures in danger, but they saw yet an additional fissure. And then that 5th reported eruption, which we just heard within the hour, and that's located at Kapukai and Leilani Avenue. Then Leilani Avenue, as you can see in the video that we've shown you, experiencing that lava crossing that's taking place near the intersection of Kapukai Road. Right now, it's my understanding that emergency operations are determining whether or not they have to shut Kapukai Road down for good. At this time, they have one day open for evacuation purposes for many of the Makai communities that were not required to evacuate. We're talking about places like Kopoho, those who have houses down by Po'oiki Bay. That may change, and if that does,
Manono and Cam are going to 1019. Complainant from fire with injuries.
We're told, Lenny Puna Garden and Leilani Estates. And if that changes again, we'll be sure to let you guys know. The concern, of course, is not just the lava threat. It's not just the possibility that that lava, which is very unpredictable in nature, it's unclear how quickly it will move, what direction it will take, but the sulfur we just heard Representative Gabbard talk about the possibility of all of those dangerous levels of sulfur dioxide being released up into the air and over this community. And that's something that we need to make sure that people are aware of so that they can avoid this area. There's absolutely no reason for you to be down here. There's nothing what's happening. That's why we are here. Be sure to stay Hawaii News Now for the very latest updates. You're also going to want to sign up for all of the Hawaii County alerts that through their platform messaging system, and Lincoln County PD's pixel alerts, along with USGS HPO's email updates from Kilauea as they continue to monitor the volcanic activity. We'll be back with more in just a bit, but for those of you who are here, take care, malama pono, aloha, and ohio.
I can get around it. I'm going to go through and continue to check for other match flights.
They just had a 6.9 in Hawaii. That's a pretty good sized quake. Hey, Amy.
You can get company secures online. It's available to resolution orders. Thank you.
Got a gloom tube running here. The earthquakes are going off about every 2 to 5 minutes there. Last one they said was a 6.9. That's pretty big. Pretty good sized quake. That thing might blow.
Copy, fire control. Medic responding to
Yeah, I put some up already. I got this one last 2x4 piece. Got to get some stuff up off the tables. It's getting out of control. Too much stuff in bins and drawers. I can't find anything. We're getting ready to have a lot of stuff going on in here. So I'm gonna need the bench space and the tables cleared.
and
Yeah, the director's not given.
yeah, we're probably to be able
Let me look up.
Samuel, how's it going, buddy? So, anyways, we'll check in with you later, and we'll see you soon. All right?
Bye.
outside the party. Getting off 40 lines.
I'm going to have to start planning out the mold for this head. It's getting pretty close. Start figuring out my materials. I do prefer U-bend. That is my favorite. Just for like every day. I get a good coffee like an Arabica if I make bulletproof coffee. Now I've got gloom tube going in the background. They've got the scanners going in Hawaii. Tons of earthquakes going off over there.
Hilo Medical Center. Manometer reading is 16.2 miles.
Central to 4 and 7. the directions provided were wrong.
Yeah, they just reported a 6.9 quake over there. That's good size quake.
What corner? Just can't go outside. Because these things can't walk.
Possible 130 and 130. It's quite that. Couple of dump truck loads or more right on this bend.
Was it that picture of her buns? I don't know. They're getting a little crazy over there. I got flagged for posting a link to MWAT last Sunday.
In the lobby time after 2:25.
Wednesday Cunningham Building, apartment 111, no patients found, bystanders, with no complaints or no knowledge of the caller. Just stand on rescue to respond to the McDonald's.
I mean, you want to downtown McDonald's. That's the alcohol, so I'm gonna direct heading.
Things getting out of control in this office bad.
We're responding right now. We're at the roundabout. What is road?
The news channel over there in Hawaii, they've cut this lady in a big Hawaiian like moo shirt. And boy, is she just loving this. This is like her time to shine. Last night she was like a little panicky, but today she's like a full newscaster lady. She's the authority on everything, telling everyone to get out.
Fire control, chopper north. Standby.
Fire control, medic card is available from the hospital. Copy, stand down, medic card is available.
Copy, medic 10 setting out to NVA. We're going to reroute to hospital last flight 132, 137.
Oh, is that one where they all had the duct tape on their face? He might never make it back home.
Copy, we can relay that to control that you're at station 10. Okay, thank you. I'll just communicate with you as to our progress on this mission. Good copy, thank you.
8 hours of getting hammered.
Standing by.
Control, just for your information, Chopper 1 is at Station 10.
Chopper 1.
We relay that information.
Control, copy that. I heard their communication, but we're unable to answer due to the multiple 911 calls. Copy that they are at Station 10 at this time. Thank you.
Thanks, Control.
Yeah, I've gotten good and cranked up on an airplane a couple of times. As soon as you land, it hits you. Oof.
Negative, not at this time. You're returning quarters or to the hub now.
Returning to port.
Copy, returning to quarters.
Our Control, Medic 3 transporting 29 female, Alpha Mode 0.
If Gab wants to pee in his seat, they should just let him. No biggie.
20 response for person with a head injury. So we have collegial part. 20 response for a person with a head injury. So we have collegial part time and 36.
Central 270, what was that?
County phone.
Anybody know of a good way to get an HD camcorder live into a computer? It doesn't have FireWire or anything on it out. It only has HDMI. And then I think some proprietary. Well, it has USB, but not for live. Because this camera has got a real good CCD, and a good lens. It's got a Zeiss lens. Yeah, that USB out, you can't get a live feed out of it. Not that I've been able to. That's what I'm guessing. I probably need a little box or something that has FireWire in. I looked at one thing. I think it was the company was called Black Magic, if I'm not mistaken. And they had a couple of different things, different options.
One of the procedures just to check out when they call my equipment.
Thank you.
Where's your schedule?
4:30.
Where's the work unit in the front store?
I'll call them back in a minute.
I don't know in the front there of the new one.
This has been one of the best thrift store toaster ovens I've gotten. I busted one of the knobs off the other day. I'm going to see if I can fix that. It doesn't look like it's fixable. I might have to take one of these knobs off and make a mold and make a new one.
Alright, over the last site, we're going to clear. Remain available in district.
Terrible.
Hang on, give me a second here. I'll make a spot for you. There you go. Which one of these is better? That one. Oh, it got warm here today. We're going to go right from winter to summer, I have a feeling. I'm going to separate all this nonsense on this side with the other side, put all the sculpting over there. So at least I keep bringing in things with dust over here. It's no good.
47.
Yeah, another 6.9.
2719 Yellow Street, 7 Welfare 30 Pony. RP is the daughter.
It'll either let all the pressure off or it'll blow.
Hasn't yet been able to get in contact with her mother for about 2 weeks now. Would like to send her after checks are made.
Just for 278.
Fine, fine.
I checked on that female party last night. She was fine. The caretaker. Everything. Doctor.
And for 78 to disregard. 278, I will call her back to let her know.
There you go. Thank you. If she wants to get in touch with the mom, she'll call her caretaker.
Right.
Anyway. Come on, cool, Jake,
This Hawaiian music, even when everything's full of covered in lava, it still sounds so happy. Hard to get too worried. Yeah, there's a hair punching needle. All ready to go. I stropped that blade up this morning. It's really sharp now. Works great. Yeah, it's kind of a slow Friday. Not a lot going on. It's everybody losing their mind over Kanye, I guess. Kind of strange. I've never really gotten into the celebrity thing, but apparently people really get into celebrities. I was going to start with sculpting right away tonight, and things have gotten out of control in here to the point where I can't find anything. He's good. He's sitting on the table out in the other office. I'm going to have to finish him up. There's not much left on that. Yeah, he's doing good. He's just chilling. He was tweeting earlier. He's trying to make some friends on Twitter, blowing up their projects. He's slacking already. I need a bin for stuff that has to go back to the shop. I've not listened to really hardly anything this week. Anybody's shows. It's been a busy week. Yeah, slow week for fools. Busy week for me. It's going to get crazy here soon when I start doing the mold. We'll be streaming quite a bit because that's on a timetable. Once that stuff is mixed, you got to get the work done. Yeah, I'm over Kanye myself, Bran. I don't understand why anybody cares about it. I've always thought Kanye was kind of a goof. I didn't realize it was such a big deal. So I'm not in the know. Yeah, this week might have actually done it for me with count. I mean, there's just nothing. There's no reason to even tune in at all. It's not even cringe. It's just nothing. Hey, Plus. It's might as well stay out here. I'll need it for the sculpture. Found these the other day when I was rummaging. Didn't even know I had them. This is an old one. This is an antique one. Just a plain flat plate. Doesn't fit on that blade. That's when it can't be filed down. She was here. She was here just a little bit ago.
let us know that the earthquake did cause the ocean to move and generate a small tsunami. It's the biggest earthquake on the Big Island, at least as far as I know, since the 1975 earthquake, which was roughly in the mid-magnitude 7 range. So this is, I wouldn't say it's an unusual event. We know Hawaii is very seismically active, but this was a very large earthquake and probably associated with volcanic activity.
What is the possibility of the earthquake generating, or at this point, a large tsunami?
Well, we can't say. I think we could say that because of the activity that's going on now and these other earthquakes that have happened, there's probably an increased chance of having further earthquakes, but we don't know anything could be bigger or whether it'll just be a series of smaller earthquakes.
You guys are just still monitoring it right now. What are you guys looking for? Is there like a threshold that the earthquake needs to make before you guys are on high alert that it will in fact generate a tsunami, or is it different every time?
No, we have set criteria for when we might issue a warning for the Big Island. In fact, 6.9, which is what this earthquake turned out to be, is our minimum threshold for a warning from the Big Island. But our preliminary magnitude for that earthquake was lower, and we issued an information statement, which means there's really no action required for a lower magnitude earthquake. But the later analysis, based on further data, raised it to a 6.9, and the small tsunami waves show that is roughly the magnitude at which the smallest tsunami waves do indeed get generated. But there was no real threat from this in terms of a hazard.
So are we out of the clear yet, or do people still need to be on standby? Or what do you think?
Well, from this earthquake, we're in the clear for this earthquake in terms of any kind of tsunami threat. But we're never out of the clear in terms of staying prepared for a future tsunami threat. And I think people, especially on the Big Island right now, they're aware of what's going on with the volcano, and we're prepared in the center here for an earthquake 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So anything further that happens, we will handle it at that time.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Yeah, the Tim is here. There you go, Linda. You're monitoring it. He's actually going to take us inside. He said we can't actually go inside the actual center where the scientists are monitoring that activity because they're very busy, as you can imagine. But I'm going to have to send it back to you, and then the doctor is going to take us inside, and we're going to chat a little bit more and bring you whatever updates that we learned from here. All right, Chelsea Davis reporting live from Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Now, at least 5 volcanic eruptions have already been reported in the area. Mileka Lincoln joins us live now with more. Mileka.
Oh no! What are they raising it to? It's got to be $10 a month now.
Talk about those earthquakes and, of course, the eruptions that have been taking place here. There is a lot of activity going on, and the situation has changed rapidly, minute by minute. Now, after that 6.9 magnitude earthquake,
Yeah, it's right about, it was 8 and change, right? 895 or something like that.
Command center unit behind me that you can see it was swaying as a result just of the powerful nature, again, of what has been reported now as the second largest.
It's worth it if you're into those type of shows. Man, I wouldn't pay that.
And that's where they saw lava beginning to cross the road there of Leilani Avenue here. Again, within the Leilani.
I can't even watch that show for free.
Why? Mandatory evacuations are in place. That lava crossing coming. An hour after that 5th reported eruption of the day at High Street and Leilani Avenue. Prior to that was a 5.6 magnitude earthquake. Prior to that, the 4th eruption hit the forested area of Mohalla Street and Coast there were no structures endangered.
Yes, they got that minimums, to drink minimums, and then that other show. Oh, they just announced it.
There. But the third
The hell's that
happened earlier
that show?
along Coakley Street.
It's got a really gay name.
Two houses, and we were told that one of the
Delco, yeah.
that was spotted in that eruption was upwards of 150 feet. There had also been a second eruption overnight on Montgomery Street, and the very first one that really sent this entire series of
You'd know the guys if you saw the guy, you'd know who he is. I forget.
Right now, Mahia, for the possibility of sulfur poisoning, and that is exactly why everyone understands.
Is that what it is? Delaware County? I had no idea. Yeah. You've seen them before.
All of the different fissures that are firing right now, sending that sulfur dioxide up into the air.
You know who he is. You've seen him.
Very unhealthy, quite dangerous. And so there is the possibility that they will continue to have to push us back as well. As a result,
Did you guys see the lineup for Skank Fest?
the lava evacuation route is now shut down unless there is an emergency. This is exactly why officials have been telling everyone that they needed to heed the warning, pack up.
They got
and get out.
Hinchcliffe coming out. Jeremiah stand-ups coming out. Well, plus you got some of the West Coast fools. It's going to be a real get-up.
They've managed to restore that to a little bit more than half. Right now, there are 6,300 people in their home who are still without power.
Oh, you know there'll be one of those.
Not, of course, receiving those emergency TV and radio broadcasts unless they're on some sort of backup generator system. And that absolutely highlights the critical importance of making sure that you are signed up for the Hawaii County messaging.
Like this gal, this newscaster gal. She just talks the King's English, and then she gets to Hawaii and she says, Hawaii. It's like when someone says, oh man, I'm really hungry. You know what would be good? I'd like to have a nice burrito. I hate when people do that.
To say that this is an ever-changing and an anxiety-ridden and stress-filled situation doesn't even quite manage to capture the tension that is starting to build here in Leilani State. That's right, Rebecca. People just don't know whether they will be affected by the lava, the smoke, the fire, or anything else. So thank you so much for that live report. Now, Arlene Kawano was in the sky in a helicopter as one of those earthquakes hit. She is live in Samoa now with more. Lynn.
It's a crazy day here on the island. There's a lot of activity here in Hawaii. Shut up.
We're spending part of the day to try to get something to eat. They're gassing up. It's actually quite busy here. A lot of them told me that they thought they could maybe get back to their home and get some of their belongings. But as they drive up the road to try to get back into Leilani Estate, they were being turned around by the National Guard. Now, again, the lava is in danger, but as Mileka mentioned, it's the air quality that's extremely dangerous. We were up in a helicopter earlier this morning. We have video of that. And you can tell that we are farther away than some of the video from yesterday. That's because of new fly zone restrictions. The no-fly zone was expanded. We were also kept to above 3,000 feet, but you can still see where the lava cut through in Leilani Estate. There were no fountains that we saw, but we saw a lot of smoke standing out, and we saw lava piling up. And
Toaster oven doesn't need to be in here. I can go back out in the shop.
You cut almost a straight path through Leilani Estate. Now, our pilot
That's taken up a lot of valuable real estate.
and said nothing like that. It wasn't nearly as big, not nearly as wide as it was this morning. Another thing that was just jaw-dropping to him. We drove right by it, or we flew.
They only need things to be so authentic.
He said that it was full of lava. It was almost to the top. When we flew by it, we could see hundreds of feet down. It looked empty.
There wasn't any lava in it that we could see, and as our pilot mentioned, the lava.
Nobody does that for other dialects. Yeah, this weekend I think I'm going to go out to the Bluegrass Festival. That would just be weird.
And part of the reason that a lot of people are coming here as well is because they don't have power, and it was that earthquake that appeared to knock out power to thousands of people. Mahela will have more from this flyover tonight on our news at 5 o'clock, and of course on our Facebook page and social media.
Lynn, just spectacular video from that helicopter. Amazing to see the amount of birds that was really moved by the earthquake. Now let's go live to Guy Hockey. Guy, you know, we're talking about earthquakes. What should people do if they're in an earthquake?
Well, shelter in place for one, but it's also, like they said, that's about 15 seconds. So right after that is when you got to watch out. Compromised structures, compromised roads.
Up north of here in the mountains in the summer, they start having the bluegrass festivals, and they are so much fun. It's backwoods. That kind of stuff freaks you out. Up in Tallulah Falls and Tallulah Gorge, that's where they filmed a lot of Deliverance. So old Billy Redden, he works up at the Walmart up in Raven County, and I've gone into that Walmart and talked to him. Billy Redden was the little albino kid that played banjo. He was just a local kid that lived up there, and when they were shooting it, they saw him and they put him in the movie. That poor guy had a really hard life after that movie. Yeah, someone I know went to high school with them, and when we go up there for the Bluegrass Festival, we usually stop in at Walmart, talk to Billy. He's a neat old guy. He's not like some weird, inbred kook. Well, I mean, he could be a little bit inbred, but he's not retarded or anything. Yeah, everybody just I think he got like another decent movie role after that, and that was it. I mean, he was typecast forever. And like all the locals used to call him Hollywood and, make fun of him. And he never left Raven County. I think he was in A Fish Called Wanda or something like that. I think that's the other movie he was in. Well, you can imagine all those rednecks up there, didn't want him to get too big for his britches, so they'd make sure they knocked him down a peg or two. But yeah, he just works in the Walmart up there. I'm from Minnesota originally, northern Minnesota. Same thing, really, except for colder. Minnesota rednecks are probably worse, in my opinion, than southern rednecks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he would tell me stories about because he was just a young kid when they did Deliverance, and when he went back to school, the kids were horrible to him. They made him look worse for the movie, and it didn't help. You can imagine when you're a little kid.
1920.
No, they're not Vikings. They're mostly Finlanders and Norwegians.
Just to follow up, me requesting that.
A lot of Italians and Germans. Because it's all mining up there. Not like mafia Italians at all. You know, they're all northern Italians, not the southern Italians. Yeah, my teacher in second grade was a Norwegian. He was really a cool guy. His name was Mr. Wybe. And yeah, they're all northern Italians, you know, up from the mountains. But he was one of the teachers that was responsible for basically setting me up all through school with like good art programs and things like that. Mr. Wybe, he used to love to sing. He would sing all these Norwegian folks. Now that I think about it, it's kind of, he might have been a little bit of a weirdo, but he was a super nice guy, really this calm, peaceful guy. But he would sing songs and stuff in class, and he had this real like falsetto. I don't know. I don't even know how to. I mean, definitely Scandinavian. But as kids, we loved it. I mean, he would sing these beautiful songs. But one time, I'll never forget. It's etched in my mind as a second grader. He was showing us how to make a thermometer, and he had like this big pint of mercury, and he was pouring it in the tube, and then he was going to blow it up into this. It wasn't a fractional distillator, but it was something like that. To blow it up inside of this tube, and just like a cheap poor man's thermometer, just for an experiment. He pours it into the hose, and he's blowing and blowing and blowing, trying to blow it up into this thing. And he stops for a second, and that whole pint of mercury just goes right down his throat into his stomach. It never hurt him. He never got sick. But I always think whenever anybody talks about, oh, mercury will kill you, don't get it on you. Like, hey, I saw this big fat old Norwegian drink a pint of it, and it didn't do a thing to him. And I remember on the playground, us little boys, we were laughing about it because we thought that he was gonna have like these solid chrome poops. I'll never forget that. Yeah, we used to play with it constantly, roll it around in our hands and then like smash it and make it disappear. One thing at my schools up in northern Minnesota, you would think that it would be it really was the butthole of the world, of the country. Freezing cold, and you know, everybody's working class no matter what. And but our schools were beautiful. We had these beautiful biology lab rooms with all the wooden cabinets and Bunsen burners, and everything was piped with gas, and beautiful schools. They never do that in schools now. They have to worry about retarded kids killing themselves with everything they come in contact with. It's really kind of sad. Of course, you know, our teachers would have knocked us senseless if we would have messed around. We had mostly male teachers. I think in my high school, I think we had all male teachers except for like two. The French and typewriter class, or typing. That was right at the end before everybody got keyboards. We had a computer lab with Apple computers, but we still had typing class on these old typewriters with ribbons. But that the schools up there, they didn't have the budgets to put computers in front of everybody. So we had a little computer lab that had 4 Apple IIs. Now every kid's running around with the tablet. Things have changed. Probably not for the better either. We had a really nice library too for this little school. I went into the library one time and I found there's this section and they had like 5 or 6 books on witchcraft. I mean, the most bizarre, like why old books on witchcraft. So I checked them all out. Mom walks in my room, sees a pile of witchcraft books and freaks out, you know. No, old Bobby Zimmerman, he was gone well before. The only thing I ever heard, you know, in Hibbing was that he pretty much hated Hibbing. And I don't think he's ever really said anything good about it. Yeah, so I brought all my witchcraft books back, and then I went through a phase of reading about every natural disaster I could find. So you had like the books of the worst disasters of all time. My mom was really concerned about me for a while. I'm sure she still is it to a certain degree. Hawaii. No, my mom was she didn't put up with too much shit, I tell you. One time I found a bag of weed. And it was just the crappiest, you know, probably some high school or something. Crappiest stems and seeds and just junk weed. It was in about 4th grade. So I brought it to school, and 2 of my friends, we went out back behind the playground in the woods, rolled up a little tuner, you know, we were going to get all baked. And he couldn't get high off this stuff. It probably was, you know, mostly oregano. But so I got busted with it at home. Had that baggie in my hand when she came in. What's in your hand? Nothing. Give me that. No. She came up off the floor, headlocking me and ripped me onto the ground. So I lost my weed. Her and my dad probably went and smoked it. You couldn't get high off that. It was garbage. She wasn't really mad. She just wanted that stash. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. She'll probably watch this and I'll get a text. You're telling people I took your stash. I had a couple of bad spots growing up. I was really, really making trouble. Really a troublemaker. When I was about 12, I went through a shoplifting spree, and I'm talking like a massive shoplifting spree. Like now, I would never ever steal anything. That's the worst possible thing to me, is stealing something. And cassette tapes, yeah, Vizio sound bars, You name it, man. Magazines, comic books, yeah, just you name it. I was in, like maybe around 11 or 12. Yeah, I got busted. And I was so young, it was basically like, the guy in the store saying, "You can't come back in here." And that was all it was. But that was it, man. It put the fear into me. Yeah, I went on a crime spree. And that was right around the time when I was doing my, when I was in my parking meter spree. So that was like a double whammy in the same year. It was a bad year. I'd kind of talked myself out of that parking meter thing as that it wasn't really stealing. Well, I had this friend. He was from what you would call the weird family in town. A bizarre, eccentric family, and no one really hung out with the kid except for I hung out with the kid because I thought he was fascinating. He was just this weird kid. Well, he had gotten a hold of a key and ground it down to where you could open parking meters. It was, one of those barrel keys for like a vending machine. You stick it in, it's a round circle and it's got a tab. Well, he had gotten this one to work on parking meters. So we went on like a 2-month spree of cleaning out all the parking meters downtown. And finally we got caught. Yeah, we did that too. We stole building supplies. In fact, we stole so much building supplies and destroyed so much property skateboarding that the big company in town, which was a paper company, they built us a half pipe to try to buy us off and keep us all in someone's backyard. We destroyed so much stuff on skateboards. We were, destroying the benches, chipping all the curbs, and then they built some park, and we were we were grinding on the marble, monuments that they put up. So they built us this they built this in my friend's backyard. They gave us like a bunch of cash. We had a beautiful half pipe, full vert, and then a mini ramp. Oh, it was nice. It was great. Well, it's probably the same up there now, but I know that once all of us hit a certain age, it was just nothing but drinking and having sex. There's nothing to do. 7 months of the year was winter. Oh, even now I know that there's really high rates of suicide and alcoholism up there because of the weather, and teenage pregnancy is crazy up there. No, I got out of there pretty much as soon as I could. I knew that was no place to stick around. You're either going to work in the mines or you're going to work for the wood products companies and the paper mills, and work for Potlatch and Cascade, or work for the mines. Otherwise, everything is just retail and service up there. Tonight, I'm just organizing a little bit to get ready. We're going to have a lot going on in here soon. And things are getting a little bit out of control.
Contact me with Judy. All in order. Probably Mike today.
Okay. Okay. So you have 1 month just to get the hotel. Yep. Gusto mo pag-gas station o gamit tayo ba? Gusto namin contact out hearing.
Copy with you. Thank you.
It's amazing we didn't get in more trouble than we did, but probably because the population was so low. We were some bored kids. We had this overpass that went over a narrow part of the lake that we all lived around. Of course, northern Minnesota, lakes everywhere. You throw a rock and you'll hit one. But we're very close to me within bike ride was an overpass that went over by a public access for a boat landing. So all of us kids were there all the time, every day after school, every day in the summer, fishing, jumping off the bridge and stuff into the water. And then, of course, boredom kicks in and things get worse and worse. So one day we found 2 milk jugs, 2 empty milk jugs that someone had been using for like a buoy or something. And we tied fishing string in between them and we hung them over the bridge, across the road and over the railings. So when a car would come, it would grab the fishing line and the milk jugs would come around the side of the car and go whap. And then the car would hit the brakes and, skid 50 feet. We'd run in the woods laughing and then just wait and then set it up and do it again. Well, we got the sheriff. There was one sheriff. That was it. There was no sheriff's department. There was a sheriff that lived at his house, worked out of his house, and we got him. So that party came to an end. That was the culmination of where we would tie, we'd find all the garbage we could possibly find, like old 12-pack boxes and bottles, and we'd tie it all in this huge pile of garbage with fishing line. And then we wait till a car was coming, then we just start pulling this huge pile of garbage across the road really slow. It's just trouble. Not really trying to destroy anything, but well, and then we had my friend and I, it was winter, there was snow on the ground. We were taking 12-gauge shells and taping marbles to the primer and then throwing them up in the air and waiting for them to come down. Because in the snow, they would make this big, they don't blow up when they're not inside of a tube. So if you just have a shell and you set it off, it blows the plastic apart. But it'd make this big star in the snow. So we were throwing these 12-gauge shells up in the air and then dropping them in the road. Well, eventually that progressed into actually putting them in a pipe, in a short piece of pipe with the marble, and then they would set off a pretty good explosion. And then we got to filling up little CO2 cartridges from our BB guns with black powder, and then that got bad. Yeah, we're looking pretty good here. There were a couple of close calls. My cousin and I learned how to make napalm with gasoline and styrofoam. I don't know how we figured it out. I guess just happened to drop a piece of styrofoam in some gasoline and it dissolved. Oh yeah, those things blow like half a stick of dynamite, man, a quarter stick of dynamite. Bad news. Yeah, so if you're some little dumb kid and you're listening to this, don't put black powder in a CO2 cartridge. You'll blow your damn hands off. Very dangerous. You wouldn't want to puncture them anywhere but the valve, but I mean, generally no. But you empty them from, for BB guns. Then when they're empty, then you can just punch a hole through the valve, knock the valve out. I shouldn't explain this anymore. No, but what they blow, and they blow metal everywhere, and they'll blow your eardrums out. They're as loud as a quarter stick of dynamite. Like that. Need more of those. If I ever have to go to the doctor, I try to grab extra pee bottles because they're like great. I bet you could probably find a medical supply place and order these, but they're the best little jars. Good quality, good seals, so you don't get wee all over you. Fortunately, we never had any bad disasters. We got lucky. I was looking for this the other day. No, I think as kids, I think we were smarter. We did dumber things, but I think we were smarter. I think we had a lot more street smarts than the kids now do. Kids now, they'll just do something dumb to film it on YouTube and then kill themselves. We at least had a good instinct for self-preservation and knew when it was like time to be serious. Some of that's probably partly a result of not letting kids, kind of dip into that danger a little bit. Oh, fire was another thing, another whole thing. That just by the grace of God, it didn't ever get real bad. But my cousin and I burned a whole birch tree down one time with napalm. Once that birch paper pit. Oh man, it was, oh yeah. Fire is just amazing. You'll still, if you're ever like anywhere where there's a bonfire or something, you just look at men and they're just kind of sitting around mesmerized. There's some kind of primordial or instinct of fire. I think I was probably about 10 years old, I think, when the people down the road, I lived on a dirt road and there was a long ways in between houses, at least a half a mile between houses, if not more, between some of them on this short little road. But the people down the road from us, their house burnt down when I was about 10. And I've been afraid of that ever since. Just watching that, watching the lady, the wife, watching her cry and everybody else being so stressed out. And we were so far away from anything. It took the fire department 30 minutes to even get there once they were called. So the place was just up in flames and gone. So even though I played with fire, I was very afraid of it. I need a better place for this or I will forget it's in there. Shit. Oh yeah, starting fluid. Starting fluid was a hoot. We had a huge Army-Navy surplus store in the town that I live. Great store. It's still there to this day. It's probably, that store has probably been there for 50 years. But that's why all of us wore a lot of Army and Army surplus, because we could go down there and get it cheap for instead of buying camping gear, we'd go to the Army-Navy store, get tents and sleeping bags and boots and all kinds of stuff. But we had this place that we used to camp. There was a little lake where you could get fish very reliably every time you wanted to, eat some sunfish or crappie. All you had to do was go fishing. But every time we'd go camping, we'd go through this trail that went by a salvage yard, and every one of us would grab a tire and like put it over our head and our shoulder like a bandolier. And every person would have to hump a tire back to the camping spot about 3 or 4 miles. And then at night, we just used tires for the fire. And those things, I can't believe we never lit there was these pine forests that had beds, a foot or more of pine needles for a bed and thick branches everywhere. And the flames are shooting up in the air 20, 30 feet from the tires. We got lucky. Oh, I went through a phase with isopropyl alcohol, and I would pour isopropyl alcohol in the bathtub and light it on fire until I got caught. And then my mom realized why her alcohol was going so fast, and she was always having to buy more because I was just pouring it in the bathtub and lighting it on fire. I never made one of those as a kid. As a young adult, Blew up a couple. We tried to make those mortar rounds one time. That didn't go very well. You know, you buy the tubes and they've got the brown round ball with the big wick and you drop it in the tube. Pretty nice little firework for what you can buy in the store. We tried to make those at one point. It didn't go very well. Blew the bottom of the mortar out. When I was in college, I was at a party. We went to South Carolina and we bought this thing called a Wonder Wheel. I don't know how many tens of thousands of firecrackers it was, but it was one of those great big wheels. It was like 2 feet across, all wound in a circle of firecrackers. And it was like almost $200 for, you know, us in college. It was expensive, but we just thought for sure this was going to be the best thing in the world. And we put it out in the parking lot. And there's like in all the dorms, all the balconies faced into the middle of the parking lot. We put the Wonder Wheel out there and we lit that thing and stood back just expecting the show. And that thing just went in like 2 seconds. Everything just went and it made this huge mushroom cloud and the entire complex just erupted in cheering. So we did get a little bit of our glory, but we were hoping that thing would like pop for a while. It just sounded like a machine gun going off. Our big thing was going down to Myrtle Beach before it got real nasty. I don't think it's very good down there now. I haven't been in a long, long time. But we'd get like 20 of us or 30 of us and rent these great big beach houses for the weekend. And that was good times. Yeah, I saw a guy pick one of those things up. The cardboard tube, you know, yeah, I think that's what you're talking about with the plastic plate on the bottom. He picked one of those up and like held it like it was his ween, and that thing blew the bottom off and hit him right in the balls and knocked him just down. He was out for the count. He wasn't holding it close to him, so he was just holding it, and it blew the bottom straight out. Of course, we laughed our asses off at him. Those things have a pretty good boom. So when I lived in northern Minnesota, it was a state where it was illegal to have fireworks, but there was always people that would go over to Fargo into North Dakota and buy them and bring piles of them back. So that was one of those things as a kid that you would be trading stuff for, getting fireworks off of people. not good to have that on its side. Pretty soon it's going to be time to start thinking about the next big project. Once the molding and casting starts, there'll be days at a time where things have to set up and dry, and I don't know if the muss is going to get done. It doesn't seem like anyone's too interested. There's a few of us that are interested in doing it, but it's an expensive one. So I was kind of thinking maybe something that would interest more people besides just a handful of us. And then maybe just kind of do the muss off to the side. Because we're going to start hitting now with the time frame, June, July. No one's going to want to be in that thing in July and August in Times Square. So maybe shooting more for a fall, September, October window for the Muscat. Although I'm open to like a big count too, a big Cumia or Sam Roberts mascot dancing in front of the Sirius building. I think a lot of the Reddit guys are betting on whether or not Jim and Sam are going to have a show when their contract comes up. It doesn't sound like the show is doing great. Yeah, that could be the case. It could be doing just fine. They would have to be building up an entirely new fan base, because I don't think any of the old O&A fans are hanging in there for it. No, probably not, but I'm sure it's a big step up, especially for Sam. There hasn't been any, no real activity out there in Hawaii in a little while. Yeah, you know, Jimmy should try. He should just try a little, have a little drinky poo and just see how it goes. He might do good this time. I wouldn't mind seeing Party Jim. I mean, I doubt it's anything great, but he just seems really wormy lately, more so than usual. I love on the subreddit when they start talking about middle of the road Jimmy. And they're right, because he always does that. He always says, well, you know, it's this, but on the other hand, he always does both sides. Kind of his new thing. Not taking a stance, Jimmy. Yeah, it's crazy how much stuff really blew it out in the last couple of weeks in here. I kind of had it. I had it in good shape, but I didn't really finish everything up. So that as soon as we started working on stuff again, it just went sideways. Doesn't take a whole lot. So many individual small tools. This bowl, it's all the hooks for the pegboard. The shop. Yeah, I was looking for that the other night, and it was buried. Just some munchies. It's like yogurt pretzels or something, huh? I found this piece of aluminum I was walking one time and I found it on the side of the road. And so I just thought, well, that's cool. It's like nicely turned on a lathe. And it sat in my shop up on a little shelf for like 3 years. One day my brother comes over, he goes, hey, dummy, that's a pot pipe. The end screws off and it screws into here. I go, oh, okay, great. So that's a bowl, A+. But I kept it because it's kind of cool. I guess I'm not up on my paraphernalia. Let's loom tube down. The chat has filled up the cache. I'm all paranoid about batteries now. I've had batteries leaking lately and things. I do have to rewire a guitar too. Do that some night. I changed the jacks out. So anyone have any ideas for the next big project after Coombs Head? I think it's going to be probably about 2 days turnaround per pour. So there'll be some dead time in there. No, I think it'll be good to branch out a little bit. So another thing I can't find is the handle for my pasta roller. So it's just sitting in a container because I'm going to need that for to roll out 1/4-inch strips of clay. Oh, you're right. We did come up with that. I completely forgot about that. Completely spaced that out. Oh, what did I do with the handle for that thing? Has that show started yet, or is that in production? Here's a picture of me when I was real little and gay. I don't know why I have that here. Kid pictures are the worst. You go through that stage where you're just completely retarded. Girls don't really get that stage like boys do. That 8, 9-year-old stage where you're just a jackass. Here's the cams for Matrice. I did cut those. So we'll be able to start putting that together. I think I'm gonna send that to Karen when it's done. It'll be funny to see her crank that out on one of the shows. I gotta find the handle for this pasta roller. I need that. I need it. There's another cool little movie out that I want to see that Amy sent me a link to. It's Isle of Dogs. It's a completely stop motion puppet movie, no CGI. Looks very cool. No, I've not seen that. So I don't watch TV, so I miss like movies coming out a lot of the times. I have no idea that they're even out unless I see like someone posted about it or. I got some catching up viewing to do. What is this?
Additional surface breakouts in other neighborhoods, not just here in Leilani Estates. So if you are not remaining informed and vigilant, there is a chance that you could get a very scary knock on your door telling you you're going to have to evacuate. So take this time now to come up with an evacuation plan and prepare. Keaki, Mahea?
Very important words there, Milaka. Thank you very much. More now on that sulfur dioxide threat around the Leilani and Lanipuna.
Uh-oh, sulfur dioxide.
How long these eruptions last?
You get the
Experts say
scientists
it could
on
end up
that.
affecting everyone in the state. Our Allison Blair joins us now with more. That's right, Mahia. Just like Bob wanders to the neighbor islands, this likely will too. Sulfur dioxide is a chemical, so it's going to affect everyone. However, folks with allergies and underlying lung conditions are going to be a lot more sensitive. Symptoms include shortness of breath for people with lung disorders, wheezing, coughing, along with itchy, watery eyes, and nasal and throat irritation. If you're in very close proximity to the sulfur dioxide, it can even cause skin irritation. People with lung conditions need to take precaution because exposure could land them in the hospital.
Here's a rough project to go through. Hundreds of pieces of pre-cut styrene strip. Holy moly.
And that will really be helpful. You want to watch it before the actual reaction starts.
The best thing you can do if you're in close proximity to the sulfur dioxide is stay indoors. This goes for your pets too. Run your air conditioning and air purifiers if you have them. You should also get some of these filter masks, specifically the N95. They are much thicker and actually seal around your mouth and nose. Also, if it starts raining, you're going to want to get indoors immediately and rinse off. Sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere can
That's
produce
some tubing.
acid rain that can irritate your eyes and skin. It can also kill your plants. Out there, what do you do now?
Oh, good advice. Start stocking up on those masks right now.
It's been a while since we talked about that. Huh?
Mostly model making.
Obviously, let's check on the weather now with Dry Hockey. Well, the weather's actually
The styrene tubing and stuff is really handy for all kinds of things.
Now, we know how seismically active the Big Island is. They get thousands of earthquakes, most of them that you can't feel.
I think I'll get another, get a 4x8 sheet of pegboard and hang all this up because it's all different sizes and thicknesses, and there's at least 200 packages.
Since the big quake, which happened at 12:32, they've had more than 50 quakes following, some as high as strong as a 4.8. So it's a very,
Might as well hang that up, or I'll never know what's in it.
You can see where the most recent flows have been, and they haven't been in the area where the fissures are coming out. Although you can see out there on the tip, that's where the most recent flows have come out of the ocean, and you can see here these
riparian areas, that's where the most recent flows have been. So that's why when Mayor Harry Kim says they live with the threat, there really hasn't been a serious threat for this area in decades and generations. But obviously that's changing.
That's right. Kalapana folks very used to this, but Leilani Estates folks, this is very new to them, and that's why we all need to be prepared.
Yeah, it was an earthquake in 1960 in Kapoho, which is farther east along toward the tip of the island there, and that was a significant eruption, I should say.
Well, it's looking better. Looking a lot better than it was. It was in bad shape in here.
Seriously. Besides the obvious, eruptions, fires, earthquakes, toxic gases, we're staying on top of it. Stay with Hawaii News Now for the latest on air, online, and on our mobile app. We'll have another update at the top of the hour from the Emergency Operations Center in Hilo. For all of Hawaii News Now, stay safe by staying informed.
Hawaii.
See you at 5 o'clock in our newscast, but stay online on our platforms for the latest updates.
Well, I guess the volcano's over. News is going off air.
The big news is the earthquake today, 6.9. A little more on that and the science behind that. We want to go to Justin Cruz, who's been following this all day long and brings us more information on the quake. Just, well, Howard, let's take a look at exactly where that quake was at 6.9. Now, first thing to notice is that it's on and over land. And in terms of tsunamis, even though it did generate a small tsunami, quakes on land don't usually generate large tsunamis. In fact,
Find a lag bolt.
Inshore and about a depth of 3
Gotta get that up off the.
Again, this happened
Just
at
leaning up in the
12:32.
corner.
A lot of people felt it. In fact, I've been told people all the way to Hawaii felt the jolt, felt it here on Oahu. So this was definitely a significant quake. And these are just the quakes that are popping up within the last 3 hours. Look at the enormous amounts of quakes. Now, these are all of them, from magnitudes that are less than 1 all the way up to this magnitude of 6.9. Now, I'm going to show you where the quakes have been popping up over the past 48 hours. There's 3 areas that we're seeing swarms. The first swarm that we saw was kind of near the Pu'u'o area, and that's the crater that actually emptied out and then, or filled up and then emptied out. So we have a swarm near Pu'u'o, and then we started getting more swarms near Kapoho town. And this is the second area that we're seeing some smaller earthquakes. And then just today, we had another swarm by Halima'uma'u. This is the Halima'uma'u area. So we're seeing an extensive area, a lot of land being shaken by these quakes. And this extends all the way from Kilauea all the way to the eastern portions of the Big Island. And to show you where that lava is actually moving from, here's the old crater. And this is a picture of completely empty. Now, all of that lava went underground and eventually made its way up to Leilani Estate. So this was the risk area, the east risk zone. And you can see how it's moving toward the northwest and popped up near Leilani Estates. And where it pops up next, it could be anywhere within this area. Unfortunately, lava, unlike weather, is completely unpredictable. We could have
lava is unpredictable.
We have no outbreaks. It's just a wait and see.
That's crazy talk.
Howard, Justin, thank you very much. It is an incredible scientific phenomenon. Obviously, very dangerous, though, and the possible destruction unlimited. And one knows what this volcano and Natapele will do. Of course, at the beginning of the week up until yesterday, scientists were debating whether or not there may or may not be any kind of eruption. We knew that the magma, as Justin said, was underground because all but drained out. The lava had to go somewhere. Well, yesterday we knew when. It was at about 4:30. The first crack, the first fissure opened up, and Sarah Madison was there, and we saw the lava splattering up. Today, there are 5 separate breakouts. Now, you heard earlier that the state civil defense or the county civil defense official from the Big Island, Magno, was telling us that not all of them are active, but they're still steaming. And he says, we don't say they're not active. They are active, even if lava isn't flowing out of them. Now, Sarah Madison was there yesterday, and we were the first on scene when the Leilani Estates earth opened up. Earlier today, she was at the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park where she had an opportunity to talk to some of the officials about the need to keep that area safe for the thousands of people who visit that park, which, by the way, is
Well, I guess we'll find out tomorrow if there's tapes.
I'm at Volcanoes National Park, and officials are getting ready to close the park and evacuate all the visitors because
we'll find out if Tim got some tapes.
Damaging earthquake has been happening today. Now, the seismic activity has also produced cracks along the viewing area. The plume of ash that was seen miles away this morning, that was due to rock falls from the earthquake. Again, the park has been deemed.
But I think Tim Robinson was going back to he was going back to that comedy club
And they will be closed until further notice. As for the lodging area,
to try to get some tape.
officials are still trying to determine if they should allow guests to stay at the hotel or not, but we'll let you know what happens in that situation. Reporting from Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, Sarah Madison,
Alrighty, Sarah, thank you very much. Again, one of the big headlines, one of the most visited places in all of the state now in the process of being evacuated is the Rangers want to take no chances with the guests visiting Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. That is closing out.
Yeah. So Bill fessed up to his night watchman gig.
Between Highway 132 and south of Leilani Estates, motorists are now being told that they cannot access it. Here, clearly, there is lava that is gobbling up the road and eating away at the asphalt and, of course, consuming everything in its path. But Highway 30 is closed not because of the lava itself, because of the potential of hazardous gases. So again,
He was giving him a chance to do his interview like he promised, but I don't think he's going to. I think Keith the accomplice got to him.
Other things that are happening today, we know that there were some power outages as well. Some 14,000 people, customers affected due to some of that attributed to the earthquakes that were tripping some of the lines. We know that yesterday, Hawaiian Electric Light Company, also they said that they were going to keep the electricity on.
Oh, this weekend wash.
If we recall, if we go back 4 years ago, there was a relatively similar eruption that threatened the town of Oklahoma there, Oklahoma, excuse me. We know that the Hawaiian Electric Light Company over there was actually taking down electricity pole by pole because they wanted to take it offline before the lava had a chance to be. Recall that they came up with barriers to protect many of the poles so that the lava would hopefully not take down the poles and then ultimately take down the lava itself. And what you're looking at here is just some of the spectacular images that we've been getting in and out of our newsroom today. A lot of people have been sending in videos, sending in photographs. By the way, if you have some that you'd like to share, please do so. You can go to our website, KHON2.com. You can go to the reported section of our website. You can send us our images. But obviously, it is a very, very trying time, especially when you consider 700.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to switch over to something else because that's it's too much time and it's terrible.
The good news is this is what you might call a slow motion emergency. This is not a situation where you have to flee for your life because lava is rushing down. We remember back again in the eruption 4 years ago.
I wish they would get those 2 new shows started on the network because that'll be entertaining for at least a week. In Hot Watch was good for a couple of weeks. That's nonsense, man. All of that Keith is talking about is absolute nonsense. They're either providing the service they're supposed to, or they're in breach of contract, and heck with it. It's all nonsense. Yeah, I mean, he's just bullshitting everyone. They're not held captive by some streaming company. They might be trying to lay claim to the material, but that's all that can go on in the background with attorneys while the network moves on. I'm sure there's some kind of wheeling and dealing going on. They're trying to get a better price, or that's not the whole story. No Zype is going to hold me hostage. And especially, what does Zype have to do with adding new shows? Seriously. They don't have control there to flip the switch when they want to put a show on? There was a rumor about female. I think they said it was going to be a girl. The subreddit was speculating coup. Yeah, that doesn't sound likely. Oh, that's terrible if they do. She's awful. Not about Bonnie, but she's probably obligated to Bob Kelly for Riotcast. So that's not going to happen. They're insane if they put Margolis on. Where's that Karen, the other one? Feehan and Mika Fox, are they on Gas Digital? I think they're on Luis Gomez cast. And that show is awful. The only gals I need are the scientists. I think that's coming up pretty soon, too. And the reason why I'm thinking that it's a female host is because I think Keith posted that in one of his never any real information cryptic postings. I'll be right back. Let me use the restroom. Pressman would be a dud, wouldn't it? That wouldn't be very good. Maybe Boscante got her on there. It couldn't possibly be good. There's got to be something cool to do with this, with that little magneto. This is a good one. These things are great to have. When we go into hurricane season, we usually get hit with a little bit. There's not that many periscope streams coming out of Hawaii.
Oh, thank you. I hope so too, Keith. I'm waiting. It's heavy because that's a great question, Julia.
I don't think anyone would listen to that show. That'd be another really bad choice by the cop.
It's amazing that they get out okay, right? The animal and all that. But that's what happens. They're on the verge of losing everything that they worked so hard for. Like the house so the house that we have there, that house was built in 1975. My mom and dad built that place with a forest. And that place is really, I know they're all just material possessions, they're just things, but there are emotions and there are.
Yeah, that place is so weird. I think it's intentional too. Like they had on In Hot Water, they had Alex Engelbart on.
You know what? I don't know how much home insurance, but like.
She mentioned something for like 5 seconds, and then they just moved on and never brought anything up. I think they do that on purpose. Every time there's like some kind of a conflict between people, they get them on there, and then it's never brought up.
Like a standard blanket insurance, like fire, flooding, and all that stuff. But the majority of people don't have insurance in certain areas because it wouldn't cover all. There's no way it's going to be able to recover because if the land is, and I don't know if they condemn the land, but I'm not sure what happened. Sorry, I'm missing a lot of questions.
I think they get this in their mind that, oh yeah, everyone's going to tune in thinking that they'll they'll be all expected for a showdown, and then we'll just pull a little fast one on them.
Volcano is on another island, but we have that, and we have 2 properties there. In the past 24 hours, 300 earthquakes. Yeah.
That one almost went that way. That was like Artie kind of fueled that a little bit. I thought that's why I thought, well, Artie, maybe he'll end up being pretty good. Probably because Joe wouldn't let it go, so they already stomped on him. But it seemed like that they were trying to do the same thing there too. Keep it non-confrontational.
here, there's a vent here, and it shifts. So, and because
Hard to say. He's been doing stuff. Yeah, that guy's face is destroyed.
and I'm not a scientist or geologist, but I think the reason why we have a lot of mini and not big ones.
Yesterday it wasn't as bad, but Wednesday, or did I? No, I didn't watch it yesterday.
I don't know. T-Rose
There's like Tuesday or something where his face was just blown up and his cheek was red.
But don't get me wrong, we do feel the earthquake. Like,
He's definitely up to no good. But even if they just give him probation, they're gonna test him right away, and whatever he's been doing this week is gonna show up. Unless he's just got some kind of a sinus infection. There was something going on though.
Hey, what's up, Levon?
I don't know the exact I don't know the exact laws up there. He's probably in New Jersey and not New York, right? Because I think New York has mandatory minimums. Minimums.
Is friction? Is that what it's called?
That's what is busted.
And lava pops out. I think that the earth is actually moving.
I'm not sure if Jersey has mandatory minimums.
It's normal to have anywhere from.
But his luck's going to run out here before too long.
Because they're all underneath, so plates move, yeah. Robert, I have no idea, man. Now, if that ever happened, you guys would be in trouble.
At a certain point, they've got, they can't just keep letting them off.
Yeah, we have, earthquake, yeah.
Well, there was one day he made a huge mess.
I don't know. I'm still waiting.
Not exactly sure what he was up to, but there was one day he was like eating cigarettes and 12 bottles of water. Guy's a wreck. Oh, that's right. He had his notepad. Got to write that magic down.
My family that's in Leilani States, they evacuated, but we have friends and family in the outlying subdivisions.
I think I tuned in 3 times. He was late.
What's up, Jay? How are you, Jason? Hey, Jason. St. Andrews is a whole other discussion. Miami Journal, I can't do that. It's illegal now. I didn't feel the 6.9 wrong. So the National Guard.
Oh, he said that thing was going to the house. That was going to Castle Cumia.
No, they're going to stand up.
They closed the park 3 o'clock. And they're here at New Black Sandy. Going over there to Kona. I cannot wait to get back to Kona. You feel me? Aloha.
Got a kook on Periscope.
Hey, nephew, up there in Wisconsin. How you?
Got a homeboy.
The foundation is solid. What's up, Shady? Yep. Good, Uncle. Good, bro. How you guys doing up there? Up in Wisconsin? How's it cold?
Yeah, guess I'm gonna have to go and look at, see what kind of screenshots are out for that dark crystal.
Okay, so we are here at
What kind of pre-production is out?
I seen a video earlier.
That'll probably be a lot of fun, actually.
It's open. It's open, and you can see the rocks. There's a lot of rocks. All right, right on, bro. Right on. 70. Oh. So, that's cool, huh? 70. Ended up losing. Oh, our tour. This is one of our tour stops as we make our way back to Kona. We stop here at Honolulu.
Just been watching this little bit of this. There's a lot of weirdos out in Hawaii. Yeah, I wonder what to do. Like a marionette might be cool, you know, like the old style marionette with the wooden cross. That might be kind of cool. Can still do it out of rubber and cast it, but
everybody's good, bro.
Or like a stop motion with an armature.
Thank you, Alma. I don't know if there's a tsunami in Japan yesterday. Do you get earthquake? Not here. Oh, the National Guard. The National Guard has been, I think, there since last night. Good to see you, Nick. The earthquake. I'm tapping a lot of subjects. We had a 6.9 yet. So, if there's a big enough earthquake, or that's close enough to a certain area, I'm bad with this scientific mumbo jumbo, but if it's in a location that is
scientific mumbo jumbo
conducive to creating a tsunami, then it'll be a matter of minutes that you'll get the notifications. So I think the hard thing, let's say like let's just pretend that this is the Big Island, and let's say the earthquake is right here. It's hard to get the data quick enough to see if it's going to generate a tsunami on this side, because how we detect tsunamis here in Hawaii that comes from another area, there are buoys in the water, various little buoys.
Yeah, buoy.
Different from Colombia, and the buoys give us data on what the levels of the ocean are. When there's an earthquake here and it generates a tsunami island-wide or statewide, it comes very quickly. So, Bloomsburg volcano, I have not. That's why in Alaska, in Japan, when those places get a really huge earthquake, they just evacuate coastline areas immediately just because they can't determine. Yeah. I don't know if the airport is open. Let me Google it. Kilo
we're doing good. My Polynesian, I am Hawaiian, Chinese, Filipino. So my Polynesian is the Hawaiian. I don't have any news about the Honolulu Airport or Hilo Airport. Sorry. I'm on Oahu. I don't know about Honolulu Bay. I know that there's a subdivision in Hilo that people are leaving their homes just in case of another big earthquake. Sorry, Siri. Micronesian is a Polynesian race. So Polynesian covers Samoan, Tongan, Micronesian, yeah. Your brother lives in Honolulu.
Race. You just cannot get away from it nowadays.
I hope not, Rob. Ui Fugiani, thank you. You flying some island on Sunday night?
They're
I
oil
hope so.
wipes.
I hope so, Mark. Thank you, Nada, for praying. 1997 wasn't that long ago. Because CNN doesn't have anything new to report. There's nothing. CNN can't report every time there's an earthquake. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. G. I missed it. I have a moderator here, so the movie closed and Challenge got the God's already hit me with an earthquake. Yeah, he's hit me heavy, man, in my life. I'm 42, man. I've been hit heavy with a lot of grace. I've been hit with a tsunami of grace, earthquakes of grace. So I don't have to get naked for that one, brother. Yeah. Prayers for you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't have to get naked for. Oh, here's another update. How bad is the lava? I don't know. I don't know how bad it is. It's in a residential neighborhood right now. That's okay, Emily. You can leave. You can leave some. They help me stay lively. Yeah. There's a lot of coffee pots though. You notice how many quakes happen because they only fit in within 3 or whatever. But they don't feel it probably too, Dollar. I don't think anybody got injured. I don't know for sure. They did scope actually at lunchtimes too when they had the 6.9. But right now there's nothing new. So I think it is good to have little ones, yeah. And she used to go where you not stand outside all day. And the thing is, all I'm just saying is,
give us some. Give us some.
I don't know about doing the bird. Yeah. Thank you, Emily. Sorry, my eyes are looking at comments. There's a lot of comments.
Yeah, it probably is. Well, I was going through the box and pulled all this stuff out, so it's that time of year too. The humidity is going to really kick up.
What site? It's an application,
and it's important to give everything a once over.
Earthquakes Tracker.
Stuff will rust just sitting there. Pretty ridiculous.
Member of the Black Lives Matter. Girl, she a thug girl in her own right. I'm gonna let her tell y'all who she is.
So this is all in the past. Since I've been live on Periscope.
Sir, how long you been a police officer here in the city of Memphis?
Yes, it is. It's linked to USGS. So yes, all these green dots happen in the past 30 minutes. These are all earthquakes. Yeah. Jab and Gab, thank you very much. 7 point. Rob, I don't think we've had one.
Fairly good.
Anything near 7.
Fairly good.
This is the biggest one we've had in 43 years. So, from Tennessee, thank you for, hey Kim. I didn't feel earthquakes, not today. The last time we felt earthquakes here in Oahu was it's like years. Hey Alex, how are you? Pepe 9000, we're praying and hoping not. My auntie, I'm waiting for her to text me and let me know that everything is okay. I didn't feel the earthquake, Alex. Some people did on Oahu, but I don't think it's on this side. Thank you. Hey, Monica. I saw you reply earlier. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. I don't know if it's shooting higher. I know that if you watch the videos, the live videos, so it came up through the roadway and it formed like a little mound and it's shooting up like it's huge. I don't know what the actual measure, but today it looks higher and it's shooting higher. But I don't know if it's actually shooting higher or if it just I don't know. I would say if I was to guess, 20 to 40 foot burst maybe. I don't think they need more evacuations yet because they don't want to cause it because they don't know where it's going to pop up. So if they see reports of cracks in the ground, then they'll tell people get ready. Thank you. Hey, Tina. Earthquakes. I think if they get one that's big enough, then they'll consider evacuating coastline areas that are in the inundation zone. Thank you, Robert. Yeah, the one that was featured on Periscope with the volcano, that was actually a news station that was getting their video feed from here. Rob, I was thinking about going out tomorrow morning, but I don't think I'll be of any help. So I might just go there just to like take photos and video. When is the next? I don't know when the next cookie scope is. No, that's not a stupid question, Hillary. I forgot your name, by the way. No, so Hawaii is made up of volcanoes.
Everybody's getting a geography lesson this week about Hawaii. Hawaii.
I'm gonna walk right now. Fireproof wallboard underneath. I don't know if that would be. I don't know if that's a solution. Fire. I don't know. Is that a solution? Sorry, that was a really weird laugh. That was like a force. Hawaii is a big ass volcano. That's so funny. Diamond Head is considered dormant. Thank you for the support, Tiki. That was like a really geeky laugh. Yeah. Hawaii right now, it has one active volcano. Mauna Loa is the next youngest volcano, which was I think the last time we read was in 83, 84. Thank you, Maria. Yeah, it's like 2,500 degrees. Is anything fireproof at 25? Is there a material that can keep 2,500 degrees? I mean, lava is the earth melting.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if there's anything. How do you stop the earth from melting? 3.4 magnitude earthquake just.
They're all gonna die.
Try to get that video up. Also some speculation of some leeches, and so just everybody. I mean, play it safe. Everybody. I mean, if you're in Ainaloa, I'm not saying it's going to erupt, but I'm telling you things that is happening in our community it's actually jumping a couple levels higher, bigger earthquakes, steadier, bigger earthquakes. The lava flow across the Ohiki Road, getting closer to one of the things that I'm concerned about is getting closer to HEV. It's like, not a matter of miles, yards away from HEV. That would be a big factor in what's going to happen.
some update work. One of the things that I wanted to other stuff that I was kind of finding out and seeing. One of the things that I want to say is I think there's going to be a day coming soon. Prepare yourself for that. I think it's going to be around high sevens to low eights. Just by looking at the history of what happened, pretty much almost identical to what happened back then to now. The Nepal and eruptions. Almost the same thing what happened. It started with cracks, and then it started with the eruption and then earthquakes. So I'm predicting there's gonna be. Don't call me on it. I'm just saying what I think, despite the happening. I'm not trying to scare anybody or anything. I'm just trying to tell you this straight. Please, please get yourself together. All these places, please get your stuff.
So tomorrow during the show, I'm gonna prep for regular stream Sunday. I'm gonna try to finish all the eyes and the ears on this Coombs. Get that done. Start laying out the mold. That's the fun part. Pulling the skins is the fun part. Painting's fun. Hair is, it's all right for the first couple.
I don't know, the pickle man of Okinawa. I'm not too sure, but like I said, I'm not a,
It's pretty much there. No, I need to order one. I should do that this weekend. In fact, I'm gonna do a lot of admin stuff tomorrow. I've got several orders that I've got to place. Get one of those ordered. I think they're from here in the States, so it's not going to be coming from China or anything like that, where it'll take a month. Speaking of, I ordered scalpel handles and blades off of Wish. First time I've ever used it. They may never come. It's been over a month and they still haven't showed up. And last I checked, they were at some customs place in China. So they were cheap though. They were nothing. I think they were $2 a piece for a handle and 10 blades. So I was just curious what the turnaround time for that was. Other people have said that their stuff came and no problem, and so we'll see. There were a couple of other really cheap tools that I wanted to order from that and then just mess around with them and see if I could upgrade them a little bit. I think, Lando, I think that link that you put up might be either the one I was looking at or, someone else that has the same products. But the price was a lot cheaper than the one I looked at. I think the one I looked at was about $50. So I'll have to go back and look at that link. I bookmarked it. Oh, these are for a spiral knife. I wonder where that thing is. These are good. Good for masking.
Very alert. Be very ready.
For the masks, it's definitely going to have to be a wig. Even to just buy the wefts to do the hair by hand, very expensive, and then the time.
Stay tuned. I'll be going around the community, kind of finding out firsthand information. I hate giving out information that I don't know myself. So people are kind of sending me all these messages of cracks in certain areas, this and that. So I can't say anything about it until I know for a fact if there's a crack, and I know when, and sure enough, there's some cracks on Sandalwood Drive or something like that. One beaches, there was speculation there, but some of the cracks that actually seen by this eruption is pretty much cracks on. Now, there's a lot of cracks on oil beaches, and mistakenly think those cracks are from the eruption. But sometimes there's just roots and trees asphalt. So I'd be pretty much on it on the cracks. After a couple of days, I'm pretty much a crack addict.
That pegboard got a lot of stuff off the table.
Kind of know a lot of what's happening in studying. Kind of everything is pretty much common sense. So I know there's tons of earthquakes. Yeah, John. I've been telling them. So the one of the things about people sending me like small. There was a small.
Oh hey, there's a diamond stone.
Ocean water has drained out of Hula. I said, wow, that's significant. That's hard to believe. Can you send me a video? Send me a video, and sure enough, it's all over the social media right after I got it. It's not crazy. So, you ready? So there's a meeting in Paua, everybody. If I'm not mistaken, it's a public meeting with the mayor at Paua High School at 5:30. So I'll be there. Hope to see everybody there. If you guys have any questions of what's happening for me and Andrew and guys, we were there firsthand this whole days. So if you guys have any questions about what's happening, I'll give you my findings on what I think happened. So everybody, stay informed. Stay informed.
Stay informed.
Sad to say it, but social media is the way to be informed. There's a lot of things happening, and before you can reach our first responders or events, it's on social media. So, yeah, I heard that cousin Malia. I heard they're evacuating Kalapana. Everybody in Kalapana. I just got a call from my cousin Ipo, Kuihano, and Cheryl. They are getting evacuated right now. So, yeah. Yeah, I can go check. Kim, I can go check Sophie in California. So again, my prediction: huge earthquake coming soon. That's just my prediction. Don't call me on it, but I'm just trying to keep people safe. So get stuff ready, get your evacuation stuff ready. So if there's anything else,
you know. So check in with me. I'll be at the meeting at around 5:30, 5:20. So if you guys coming by, come by.
Hard to say. I mean, if they go on, you've got Dixon on Monday, then you got Eastside Dave on Tuesday.
Hello, everybody. Stay classy. Hold up.
Well, they do. Clay Aiken does a show there. I think there's like 3 or 4 other shows.
Pretty much concentrated in.
But I'm sure they were just trying to get,
Central Massachusetts now.
they're probably trying to get Garrett and John out of there instead of sitting around there all night long.
Tornado watch continues there. There are some severe thunderstorm warnings. At last check, there were no active tornado warnings, but conditions are right for a tornadic.
Those guys were doing 12-hour days forever.
So that is something we're thinking of. Tammy's asking, does it come from the cracks in the ground or the volcano itself? Both. So, here in
Now we're
Hawaii,
sharp.
the island is actually one giant volcano complex. So technically everything you see here, from the mountains down to the ocean in the distance, is a volcano. Most people think lava comes out of a top of a volcano, and that is true for the most part here in Hawaii. However, what happened in all the seismic activity in the last few days is cracks opened up in the ground. And this is what the ground looks like here in Hawaii. It's a mix of soil and decomposing lava rock and a lot of scrub
This is a
brush.
great little knife, guys. That was definitely
And
a
what's happening on
a
the
success.
side of the island is large cracks are opening up in this ground, and it's through these cracks, far away from the sun.
Yeah, the New York City Crime Report comes and goes. Sometimes he does a real, dry, straightforward, funny show, and then it gets
like a jet engine. The noise sounds like a jet engine.
gets weird.
And it sounds like the noise that would exist if you threw a bag of rocks into a clothes dryer. That constant rock rolling noise and a jet engine noise as lava is violently shooting out of the ground, and it is shooting up out of the ground.
I like that Florida show they did. I thought that was pretty good.
From New Jersey, we're asking what is it? What are the communities that are being impacted by lava like? So in New Jersey, if you were to take a look at places like Cream Ridge or Raritan or Somerset or Millstone.
Even Mandy was good on the Florida show.
Developments where you have homes on 1 acre or 2 acre parcels, nice size, relatively newer homes. That's the kind of neighborhood that the volcano is currently erupting in. So these are people far away from where Kilauea is, far away from the national park, yet they have lava erupting in their front and backyards and up in their house. So in the distance, it's a bit obscured by clouds, are two big volcanoes. The two biggest volcanoes on the island are
When I first started watching, it wasn't too long after I started watching, it was when he did that show where he came on, he goes, 100 dicks. My wife has sucked over 100 dicks. And you could tell he was pissed. So he probably like read advanced parts of her book or something and was pissed off.
Explosions probably triggered by rock falls at Kilauea and Pu'au'ovent. There appears
She's definitely a lady of loose morals.
near the primary vents of Kilauea.
there be a Mount St. Helens type of eruption? No. What you saw in Mount St. Helens was a really explosive volcanic event. Should even the larger volcanoes here on Hawaii erupt, it wouldn't be as explosive because these the volcanoes here are more rounded, like shields, versus some of the stratovolcanoes.
I wouldn't do a show for 200 a show. If I did, it would be like the way Kumia does a show, and he doesn't prep and he just shows up. I wouldn't work all week putting together a show for $200. No way. There's much better use of time.
So again, we're gonna take a look at the ground here again. This is typical ground here.
$800 a month in New York City is nothing. Oh yeah. Yeah. But Gavin made a lot more than that. I think Dixon probably does too. Dixon doesn't strike me as a guy that would say, oh yeah, okay, 200. I just don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, 200 sounds good. See?
Hawaii's big island. That's the Pacific Ocean in the distance. We have the Kohala Mountains to our north. And then we have Mauna Kea.
All right. Be safe.
It is obscured by.
Okay, so how can you, the only thing you, the only thing you can do is go by.
Yeah, right now he's got one of the strongest shows on the network.
Put my timer on so y'all get 10 seconds.
It's hit or miss sometimes, but it is a show. I mean, he does do a show. And he preps for it and makes things for it. Uh-oh. Got some ne'er-do-wells.
But I'm saying the person on that side who enforces has to do it. And you just said who got to do it?
But you know they can be done in Memphis.
I do. You asked me how I know what goes on in Cartersville because I go to the
listen to what I'm telling you. Okay, Collierville and Germantown don't have Memphis problems.
Definitely. He was filling in for somebody too, wasn't he? That wasn't his show. Was that Count? Was he filling in for Kumia? I love that she goes, come on, Rich. She's ordering Rich to follow her out of there. That was great. Well, yeah, well, get the fuck out of here, man. Yeah. See?
Have you ever looked behind this thing?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Code violation. Why haven't the code people came out like that? Of course.
She's one of the headliners for Skankfest. You know, when she's bagging on Rich, she's actually kind of funny. Whoa, calm down, lady. The natives are getting restless in Hawaii. I always thought she was kind of funny when she was making fun of Rich, but that's the same for everybody's funny when they're making fun of Rich. I don't think I've ever seen any of her stand up. I think what I want to do is I want to put the sculpture back on a pedestal out in the middle of the floor. I didn't like it that night on the desk. The turntable's good, but I want to put it back on a freestanding buck. Got the sculpture stand that I made. I definitely like it better out. You know, when the mold is made, I could pour a final one out of like some kind of a faux stone material. That would probably be kind of cool. Lando, youngest guy in the network, is he? I suppose he is. There's a lot of failed nobodies. There's some has-beens and some nobodies. I'm starting to get really jazzed about doing the talking part of the head. That's going to be cool.
Y'all ain't had no shootings tonight?
Y'all ain't had no shootings tonight? Yeah, so I can screw that other one right down, back down to this. And I can move it out in the middle of the floor. I have still not found the handle for that pasta roller. It must have fallen down somewhere. Or I threw it in a box. I'm going to need that for cleaning up the molds. It's just a bag of a whole lot of nothing. This box. Empty it out. Ooh, I wonder if there'll be karaoke tonight. Isn't usually Friday karaoke night? He's been doing it late too. Be a great night for it. Well, these gals are giving this police officer a hell of a time. This boy needs a new handle. That is a fantastic old hammer. Old riveting hammer. One of the worst things about the humidity in Georgia is things will just rust sitting there. You know, like that kind of surface rust just pops up out of nowhere. I don't know if these people are refusing to leave their homes or what, but they are giving these police hell. The police must be stretched thin because they're not pushing too hard.
Three nine Central.
3975. And Private Mike, you can actually disregard or pick up back into the SUV so you wanted to cancel the call.
They probably got their hands full tonight. No pitting, but definitely stained. These are silversmithing hammers. They're gonna have to be repolished to get that off there, or they'll leave Mars in the finish. That's the kind of stuff that's annoying. Just hanging on the wall. Is he tweeting? I wonder if he's going to do karaoke. Gonna have to keep a watch out, I guess. Yeah, I saw he had Beavis outside. It does. Because he'll be knocking them back, and then about midnight, he'll start thinking about singing. Gets a little juiced up. I think he gets nervous though. You know, some of the people that go in there, they push too hard. You know, if you make fun of the guy, he's going to stop putting it on Periscope. Got to find that balance of having fun with it, but not running them off. Yeah, he's not going to put on a good show if he gets mad. No, some guys they just want to burn everything. He starts off all happy, and then someone goes, "Hey, why don't you do A Boy Named Sue?" And then he's pissed off for the rest of the time. Yeah, so Friday he's usually pretty well into the weekend by Friday night. So I'll have to keep an eye out for it. It wasn't last weekend. It was the weekend before he did it. So right, let's cut this stream. We'll do the show tomorrow. I'll do all the admin stuff. Make a list for orders. And then Sunday I'll probably do, there's no MWAT either, so I'll probably do a pretty long stream on Sunday. I think I'll just start sculpting and see if we can get all the way through the eyes and the ears and get that wrapped up. Yeah, I need to do that. I need to also add about the cards to the Patreon. Yeah, I need to do a list. Do a list. I got a lot to do. I think I just posted it in the BBG. It's not going to take too long to do a bunch of those either. I mean, really, one a night is very realistic. You know, get about a dozen of them knocked out and get ahead of the game, and then just do one a month or a couple a month. I think that'll be good. I know someone else has asked me about doing a game, and that's boy, that's a lot of time and a lot of work. I don't know about jumping into that. I've been thinking about it, reading up on new documentation on some of the newer 3D engines. You know, just make like a goofy kind of shooting game with a lobby and a chat, and just restricting it to, you know, people we know or Reddit people, BBG people. So it's something, it's another person who's asked about it, says he's got a buddy who wants to do it. And depending on the skill level, I've been involved in these games before, though. I know how they go. So unless you can get it done and get it fast, everyone gets bored. And then it ends up going nowhere. So we'll see. I'll look at it. All right, guys, have a great night.